In 1927, a Belgian priest did the impossible. He looked at Einstein's equations. He looked at observations of distant galaxies. And he proposed something revolutionary. The universe wasn't eternal. It had a beginning. Scientists laughed. Einstein didn't believe him. The scientific establishment rejected him. His name was Georges Lemaître. He was a Jesuit priest, and he discovered what we now call the Big Bang, the foundation of all modern cosmology. This is the story of how a man of faith made one of the greatest scientific discoveries ever. Georges Lemaître was born on July 17, 1894, in Charleroi, Belgium. He grew up during World War I, witnessing the horror of industrial warfare. Lemaître was brilliant in mathematics and physics, but he was also deeply religious. At age 22, he entered the Jesuit seminary. He wanted to serve God through both faith and learning. After his ordination as a priest in 1923, Lemaître pursued advanced studies in physics and astronomy. He earned a doctorate from MIT in 1927, studying under the renowned cosmologist Arthur Eddington. Remarkably, Lemaître combined priesthood and physics seamlessly. His faith didn't hinder his science. It motivated it. In 1927, Lemaître published a paper proposing that the universe was expanding from a primeval atom, what we'd later call the Big Bang. Here's what Lemaître understood that others missed. Einstein's equations of relativity allowed for a dynamic, changing universe. Yet Einstein himself added a cosmological constant to force the equations to show a static universe. Why? Because a static, eternal universe just seemed more reasonable. But observations didn't support that idea. Astronomers were finding that distant galaxies had redshifted light, a clear indicator that they were moving away from us. Lemaître connected the dots. He took Einstein's equations, removed the artificial constant, and combined them with the observational evidence. He concluded, the universe was expanding. And if it was expanding now, what was it like in the past? Lemaître worked backward in time. He proposed that the entire universe originated from an incredibly dense hot point, a primeval atom. The universe, he argued, began in a fiery burst and has been expanding and cooling ever since. This was revolutionary. Most scientists at the time believed the universe was eternal. Lemaître proposed it had a definite beginning. If you didn't know a priest discovered the Big Bang, hit that like button. At first, nobody believed him, not even Einstein. When Lemaître presented his ideas to the great physicist, Einstein's response was cold. Your physics is correct, but your speculation about the beginning of the world is abominable. Why was Einstein so bothered? Partly because the idea of a beginning seemed to imply a cause, something that could be interpreted as God. Einstein's more materialistic worldview made him uncomfortable with that implication. Remarkably, Lemaître never argued that his Big Bang theory proved God existed. He kept his science and his faith separate in his publications. He simply followed the mathematics and the observations where they led him. Over the following decades, more and more evidence accumulated. Then, in 1965, physicists Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson discovered the cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang. This was the exact kind of echo Lemaître had predicted would be left over from a hot beginning. By the 1980s, Lemaître's theory was confirmed beyond any reasonable doubt. The universe did have a beginning, and yet, for a long time, many people never learned who discovered it. Lemaître was a devout Jesuit priest his entire life. He lived in Jesuit communities. He said Mass daily. He took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But his faith never conflicted with his science. Why? Because Lemaître understood something crucial. The Bible tells us that God created the universe. Physics tells us how God created it. Theology deals with the why, the ultimate purpose. Physics deals with the how, the mechanisms. They answer different questions so they don't have to conflict. He once wrote, "I was ordained a priest in 1923. I have always believed that one can believe in God and reasonably hold the thesis I have formulated." Lemaître saw his scientific work as a way of exploring God's creation. For him, understanding the Big Bang was a way of understanding God's handiwork. He even directed the Vatican Observatory for years, leading it with brilliance and integrity. The Church supported his work. His priesthood and his science flourished together. What do you think? Should Lemaître be more famous? Let me know in the comments. So, if Lemaître made one of the greatest discoveries in science, why don't more people know his name? Partly, the scientific establishment of the time marginalized his contributions. After his death in 1966, his central role in discovering the Big Bang was often downplayed. Credit was often given to other scientists who worked on similar ideas later. Part of this might be due to an uncomfortable truth. If the universe had a beginning, that implied a cause. That implied something beyond the purely material world. Some in the scientific community wanted to avoid any implications of God, so they quietly minimized the role of the priest-scientist who started it all. Fortunately, in recent decades, historians have worked to correct this. Lemaître is now increasingly recognized as the true founder of Big Bang cosmology. The recognition, though late, was certainly deserved. But truth eventually emerges. Lemaître's life teaches us several crucial lessons. First, faith and science are not enemies. They can be different, complementary ways of understanding reality. Lemaître thrived in both domains. Second, some of history's greatest discoveries come from people willing to follow the truth wherever it leads, even to uncomfortable conclusions. Lemaître followed the mathematics and observations to a universe with a beginning, whether others liked it or not. Third, institutional bias can suppress truth. The scientific establishment downplayed Lemaître's discoveries because they were uncomfortable with the implications. And fourth, humility matters. Lemaître didn't seek fame. He wasn't bitter when others received credit. He did his work faithfully and let the science speak for itself. Lemaître died on June 20, 1966, at the age of 72. Just days before he passed, he learned that the cosmic microwave background radiation had been confirmed, proving his theory. The priest-scientist's prediction was vindicated. His faith never wavered. His science never faltered. He proved they could flourish together. Georges Lemaître looked at the universe and saw the signature of a beginning. He saw that creation had a starting point. As a priest, that didn't trouble him. As a scientist, it fascinated him. Lemaître shows us that the greatest scientists can also be people of profound faith. That discovering how God created the universe doesn't diminish faith. It deepens our sense of awe. What do you think? Does Lemaître's story change how you see the relationship between science and faith? Comment below. And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more about the faithful scientists who shaped our understanding of reality. Thanks for watching.